7 signs someone is wasting your time and or energy, and that it might be time for you to consider cutting this type of person out of your life, or at least not spending as much time and energy on them. So we're going to go over what these are coming up next. Hi there, my name is Dave, and this is HeartSpace if you're new to the channel, where we are creating content every single day from my heart to yours to help you live life in your way. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss any of the content that we release. Now, today we're going to be going over essentially the kind of toxic traits that someone might display that are going to waste your time and energy and ultimately serve you in no way whatsoever, whether it's your growth or in any other manner. And one of the advanced ways of looking at this, one of the more kind of bigger ways of looking at this, is when you're in some kind of relationship where it's toxic, even though it may seem like the person who's doing the manipulating or doing the bullying or whatever else is benefiting, they're actually not. It's not a good state of being to be in. You know, we're all energetic, vibrational, divine beings in a human body, and that's never usually how divinity wants to ultimately express itself. And so staying in these kind of relationships, yes, it seems more evident that it's hurting you, and usually it does, but it also isn't good for the other person. And I just want to throw that in there as well, just in case, like, it's like, well, you know, they need me, whatever else it is. If it's a toxic kind of situation, no, they don't. You know, so it actually works out better for both people. So we're going to go over what these 7 things are. And if you notice that there are people in your life that fit this, again, it doesn't make it right or make it wrong, but it makes it, in my eyes, just not an energetic match for that type of relationship to be going on. And you'll see as we go through these what I mean. So let's get into the first one, starting in reverse order with number 7. So number 7 is you feel yourself and your energy just drain thinking about hanging out or spending time with this person. Maybe it could be that they've invited you to something, or it could be, you know, they ask you to hang out or whatever else it is. And the thought, the visualization, the picture of hanging out with them makes you go like, oh, I don't want to do this. And if that is the reaction, if the pit in your stomach or whatever it is, you like, maybe you're even energized and you get this and you get like tingly in like a bad way, you know what I mean? Like a heat tingle going down your spine, like a pit in your stomach kind of feeling. This is not coincidental, right? This is not, nothing is coincidental in this universe. That is an intuitive sign. That is a gut feeling that you really don't want to spend time and energy with this person. And this is your gut essentially saying, look, there is no point spending time and energy with this person because, you know, it's not serving either of you. You know, it might be coming out of obligation, which we'll get into later in this video. And so if you're feeling that way towards someone when you think about them, even just like thinking of the person or thinking about, you know, I'm going to be hanging out with this person or whatever else, and, you know, you don't see yourself having a fun time, you don't see yourself having a good time with this person, you know, where, you know, whatever else it is, then it probably isn't something in alignment. Now, again, this doesn't mean that person necessarily is bad, but you're in a way wasting both of each other's time if the energetic connection isn't there. You know, it's just going to be a shallow connection, or it could be even sinister and worse. So in that regard, it's probably at least time to start thinking about spending less time in that kind of situation. So number 6 is very similar to that last one, but instead of like this anticipation energy, it's this post energy of hanging out with them. And so if you hang out with someone, spend time with someone, whatever else it is, you're talking to someone and you feel energetically drained. Like afterwards, you're like, oh my God, you know, I was only spending like 30 minutes with this person, but I feel so tired. Now, this doesn't only work for people. Sometimes this can be the environment. Like I used to have a job working in retail, and sometimes I would only have a 4-hour shift. And I would feel like I was there for 12 hours during this 4-hour shift because it was just totally out of alignment. I didn't want to be there. It wasn't something I wanted to do. There was nothing about it that I enjoyed. And ultimately, I wanted to be doing something else. And, you know, I wasn't as good at being in my heart at the time and taking the leap and doing that. Eventually, I did. But because of that, even the thought of going drained me, and then actually going would drain me so much. Within the first hour, all my energy would be pretty much drained, and I would be like a zombie because it was just such a misalignment. And if you're feeling the same way after hanging out with someone, or while you're hanging out with someone, and you're just sticking around because you don't want to be rude, or you feel you're obligated to, or whatever else it is, that's a huge sign. Again, there's an energetic mismatch. If the people around you are not energizing you so that you feel more energy, or at least not keeping it in a neutral place, it's probably not in alignment. It's a disconnect, and it isn't meant to be, at least at this time. Now again, make sure you use your discernment here. It might be like the person you're hanging out with, actually it's an energetic match, but you go somewhere and the environment, something that just isn't something you want to be around, or whatever else it is, right? So make sure you're using your discernment, and you know it's because you're hanging out with the person. Like, oh, I've hung out with this person in 5 different places and felt the same way each and every time. I was even in that place I really enjoy being at and still felt this way. Well, then at that point, it's probably time to admit that it is not a connection. You do not feel good around this person. Again, it doesn't mean one person's bad, one person's good. It just means it's not a match, and it's probably time to, again, stop wasting each other's time and energy so that you guys can make room for the people that are gonna come in and enhance your experience while you also enhance their experience. So number 5 is they constantly break agreements. Now, this is one you have to use your discernment for, because, for example, I know people who just, they don't do well with time and all this different stuff, but I also know their energy, and I go, okay, it's fine, and I kind of account for that. But in some cases, you might notice that maybe you're trying to meet up with someone and they're always late, like they're an hour late, even though they tell you they're gonna be at this certain time, or sometimes they don't even show up, or they just keep breaking these agreements. They keep saying they'll do this thing or whatever else it is, and it's okay to say like you wanna do something and then calling that person up or messaging them before the fact and going, look, I can't make it, or I don't wanna do it, or whatever else. That's absolutely fine. Sometimes things come up, or if you don't wanna do it, I don't want anyone to hang out with me if they don't want to. So for example, if someone's like, oh, we're gonna hang out at blah, blah, blah time, and then they call me up, a little bit before or whenever before and go like, hey, I'm just not into it, I don't want to, I'm not really gonna take offense to that, because I don't want someone around me that doesn't wanna be there. I don't want that kind of energetic burden. And so that's absolutely fine. And so that's something I'm saying, completely accept that. Again, if someone arranges ahead of time, look, I just can't make it for whatever reason, that's not breaking an agreement, that's ending an agreement in a way. That's saying this agreement, I can't honor that agreement, I need to let you know that I can't. Breaking an agreement is, for example, saying you'll be somewhere at a certain time and you're an hour late, right? I guess at a certain point you can say, oh, maybe there's a good justification, but a lot of times there isn't, right? Or it's, saying, oh, we're gonna go do this, and then completely not even showing up, again, without any kind of like, oh, I'm not going to be there, whatever else it is. And usually this is the cause of an energetic mismatch. Because when I want to hang out with someone, when I want to spend time with someone, I'm aiming always to spend time with people and in situations that excite me, that I feel good about. Meaning, I don't want to be late. I'm eager to get there. I play football, and one of the things I love to do is actually get to the field early to warm up, because I just love to play with the ball. I love to be there. So I'm not going to show up 10 minutes after they've started, right? Because I love doing it. I'm excited to play. So I'm not going to show up, 10 minutes after, or not show up at all, right? It wouldn't make sense. That would be a disservice to myself even, because I like doing it. And it's the same with the people I hang out with. Unless there's some, extenuating circumstance that's preventing me from showing up at whatever time, I'm going to show up on time because it's something I enjoy. I enjoy being there, and I'm going to do that, right? But if it just constantly keeps happening where it's lateness or not showing up, or it just seems like the energy is just like, it's like, does this person even really want to be here kind of thing, then it might be time to just start allowing what has already been occurring, which is like kind of a distancing, to just allow it to kind of fade and allow it to go its course. Because a lot of times we'll just say we want to do things that we don't really want to do, and even if we're not saying it, it will very much come across in our actions. And sometimes those actions are not showing up at all, and then giving some lame excuse, or being late, or whatever else it is. So if there's constant broken agreements all of the time, again, it might be a indicator that's time to just move on. Now again, if you constantly want to keep breaking agreements as well with that person, another indicator that it might be time to move on, because it's like, I said I would hang out, but I really don't want to, so I'm just not going to show up, or I'm going to show up late, or whatever else it is. If you constantly find yourself doing that, then it's also a sign. So number 4, and I've been alluding to this one, is the other person makes you feel obligated to hang out with them, or obligated to do something for them, with them, whatever else it is. So now we're getting into, again, I don't want to label anything as good or bad, but something that's going to be a little more negative for you. Because typically when someone gives you this obligatory energy, they're coming from the standpoint of shame or guilt. And anyone that tries to make me feel shame or guilt in any form, I cut out of my life almost immediately. It's almost one of those inexcusable things for me, because I know how things work from an energetic level. Shame and guilt are the two lowest energies the energy levels on the map of consciousness. It's one of the worst feelings you could possibly be in, and if you're in it for a sustained period of time, it leads to so many issues in your life. And you might even know someone who feels shame and guilt all the time, and you probably can see the manifestation of that. It's not a really good thing, and it's not a good place to be. And so anyone that tries to put me in the emotion of shame or guilt, I immediately start looking for ways to phase that out of my life. I don't have time for that. I don't have energy. It's a time waster, and not only an energy waster, but an energy drain on my life. And I would recommend the same for you. So if there's someone that keeps making you feel obligated, keeps trying to make you feel shame or guilt because you don't want to hang out somewhere, or you don't want to do something, or just, I mean, we could even take the obligation out of this one and say, if there anyone that makes you tries to make you feel shame and guilt for any reason, that is an energy you usually don't want to be around, and you want to start phasing out of your life. But again, the obligation one, I think a lot of you can connect to. I think we've all felt that at some point in time, other people saying like, you have to do this, you have to, justification, whatever it is, or you're not going to hang out, what happened, blah, 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 make you feel guilty. If that's happening, stop putting your focus on that person. Again, everything is your choice, but my recommendation is to stop putting your focus on that person. Now, sometimes this might happen accidentally, so if it's like a one-off, again, that's for you to use your discernment. But if this is happening time and time and time and time again, where it just seems like this isn't going to end, this person's always going to try and make me feel obligated to do X, Y, or Z, hang out with them, do things for them, whatever it is that I don't want to do, then in my eyes, it's time to start phasing that out. Because it's going to waste your time, it's going to drain and waste your energy. I mean, waste your energy, drain it away. It will waste it that you could have spent on other things that excite you, things that you like. And in my eyes, time to phase that person out as much as you can. So this one is a little more negative, and you'll know by the title of it, and it's they are being very negative towards you, very deliberately negative. And this is something that at this point in my life, I don't allow into my life at all. If I feel that someone is being deliberately negative towards me, putting me down, things of that nature, kind of consciously and deliberately, is almost like a tactic, and we'll go over why people do this in just a moment. They're gone. They're gone from my life. I do not tolerate that in my life. I have a huge boundary around that in my life, and I used to put up with this a lot. I used to have people in my life when I was younger. I used to put up with it when I was in, I was a teenager, where I would just let people be that way to me, and they would, justify it's like, oh, we're just joking, or whatever else it is. But you can feel the energy of the situation. And if you know that someone's being negative to you, putting you down in order to elevate themselves, that is not something I tolerate. I do not do this whole competition, whatever it is kind of thing with my friends. My friends are people that I love. My friends are people that I care about. The people I spend time with, I care about. I want them to win. I want them to succeed. I want the cooperation. I want all of that. And so I would never think, especially at this point in my life, to put a friend down in order to try and boost my own ego or make myself appear better socially or anything of that nature. And this is something I cut out of my life, and it has been such a freedom to cut this out of my life, because you're always in your own head in a way going like, oh, did they, what do they mean by that? This and that, should I have responded? Should I have whatever? And it's just something that it's you don't need to have people like that in your life. And so I think a lot of people, again, have gone through this again, where someone is very, very negative, a so-called friend even, is very, very negative towards them. And again, if you are experiencing this, in my eyes, I would say cut it out. Cut it out of your life. The easiest way to define this is its typical bullying behavior, trying to make you feel small in order to elevate themselves, make them feel better about themselves. And it's, in my eyes, not an energy that should be tolerated. And by the way, by continually hanging out around it, continually accepting it and allowing it, you only encourage it more and more. It's not going to go away unless, again, the person that's doing it has some kind of awakening or something else. But typically that will not happen. And so the best thing is to, take care of yourself in that situation and get away from that kind of energy. Second thing that will waste your time and energy like nothing else, the kind of person, is if they complain all of the time. Now, this is a little softer than the last one, which is someone who's deliberately being negative or bullying towards you. That's something that right away cut out. And some people who complain, they're just caught in a loop of suffering. They're just maybe having a hard time because they're not aware of certain things. So again, it can be fairly innocent. But again, especially if you're on this path of growth and evolution and everything else, it is not going to serve you, and it will hold you back. Again, there's the famous saying, you will become like the 5 people you hang out with the most, you'll become the 6th. So if you hang out with, 5 negative Nellies, 5 people who are complaining and moaning and just all of that all of the time, you will become the 6th, or it'll be very hard for you to become anything but the 6th. And even if you don't become the 6th, and let's say you have ambitions or whatever else and dreams, it's going to be very hard to achieve those when you're in the room of 5 complainers. However, if you're in a room of 5 people who, like I was saying, love each other, motivate each other, encourage each other, lift each other up, work together, you will be the 6th. And those people will go on to be successful, and you will too if they're not already very, very successful. It's how it works. And so being around a complainer who wants to use their time and energy and their, their natural resources in that regard to complain and moan and look at everything in their life that is wrong instead of focusing on how they can find solutions or focusing on things that they can do to improve their lives or focusing on what they want instead of what they don't want, in my eyes, hanging around that kind of energy is going to waste your time and energy. Again, this is the kind of person, like I said earlier, that if I hang out with someone like that, I feel so energetically drained by the end whenever I would hang out with someone like this. And I always noticed that when I would hang around someone like this enough, I would end up complaining as well. And then I would be doing it to someone else and they'd be like, wait a second, why am I complaining so much? And I'd be like, it's because I'm hanging out with people who are complaining. That's their reality, but doesn't need to be mine. Again, doesn't make this person a bad person. It just means it's not a match if you're someone who's trying to grow. And you cannot grow. You literally cannot grow and evolve as a person spiritually for the most part if you're stuck in the loop of complaining. A mentor of mine once said that complaining is the glue that keeps you stuck to your current circumstances. So complaining about your circumstances is what keeps them there, right? So I would say that's the next kind of person you want to start phasing out a little bit. That one's, sometimes a little more difficult for people because, again, this person's not really doing anything wrong per se. It's just that their worldview is in a way that causes them to complain. But again, if it's for your growth, if you really want to elevate yourself, grow yourself, continually evolve as a spiritual being, it's really going to be difficult hanging out with that kind of energy. And number 1 is they are manipulative and will play games with you. Now, not playful kind of games like childlike, fun and we're having fun together kind of games, but they will play literal, emotional, psychological games. And these can be probably the most devious one on this list. Someone who knows how to manipulate people, who perhaps is charismatic and understands how to get people on their side, make them do things for them, and just essentially use them and throw them out when they don't need them anymore. Now, this is something that you need to cut out immediately. This is not a fun person to be around. I've experienced this myself, and it leads to very, very bad situations. And again, because I didn't trust my gut or my intuition at the time, I wasn't looking out for the energetic feeling. I was only thinking about our last interaction when it came to how I felt about the person. So if they were being cool and charismatic the one day, I'd be like, oh, he's a cool, charismatic person, or she's a cool, charismatic person. But then if they manipulated me the next day, I'd be like, oh, that manipulative, blah, 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 I hate this person. But then they're cool the next day, and they know how to play this game. Meaning they know when they can get away with doing something, really, really negative towards you, manipulative towards you. And the difference between this person and the person who's just being negative is the person who's being negative is usually coming from a place of deep insecurity. They want to make someone else look small so that they can look large. It's not this huge, they can get into the realm of being very manipulative, but usually it's a little more innocent. It's still not great to be around, the bully. It's usually hurt people. But it's still a little more innocent because it's just, I want to feel good socially. I want to make sure I'm feeling good, and the only way to know how to do that sometimes is making someone else look small so they look bigger. So it's a little more, it's still not good to be around, but this one is way more calculated. This one knows how to make you feel good, how to make you feel bad, knows how to take advantage of you, and will use all of that in almost perfect timing to keep you looped around their finger in a sense, so that when they know you're getting angry at them, they'll put their arm around your shoulder and they'll have fun with you and they'll do whatever. But as soon as you're on their good terms again and you're thinking they're a good person, they'll turn around, manipulate you in some way, maybe even steal from you, do all these different things. And this kind of person, this kind of person can be the kind of person that drains you and wastes your time and energy more than any other type of person. They will string you along for a very long time, feign friendship, things of that nature. And so if that's the case, this, again, in this time and day and age in my life, like this person, I don't even allow in. I don't energetically resonate at a place that would allow someone to come in and take advantage of me in that way. But understand that this person is looking for people to take advantage of. And they will find them. And to make sure you're not one of those people, to make sure that you're protecting yourself, you're trusting your intuition when it comes to this kind of person, and you're cutting it out of your life. It's only going to waste your time, only going to waste your energy, only going to lead to bad things, and trust your gut when it comes to this kind of person. So guys, those are 7 signs that someone is wasting your time and energy, and it would be better to put your time and energy somewhere else onto other people that are supporting you and all this different stuff. At the end of the day, guys, one thing to do once you have started to remove this kind of person out of your life is to focus on the kind of person you want into your life. You heard me mention, don't focus on what you don't want, focus on what you want. And so what you can do is focus on wanting this kind of person out of your life. And all you do is you don't even have to go up to them and be like, you're gone or whatever else, unless you want to do that. All you do is start focusing on what it is you do want. So the kind of person you want in your life, the kind of group you want to be surrounded by. And again, for me, the best kind of group, the best kind of people to be around are supportive, loving, cooperative, knowing that everyone can win. It's not like I need to take from you to win and I need to take from this person to win and we're in competition, only one of us can win. It's no, we can both win together. This is a world of abundance. I'm going to help you succeed. You're going to help me succeed. We're going to, play off each other, learn from osmosis, learn from, all of this different stuff. Those are the kind of people I invite into my life, the kind of person I encourage you to as well. Of course, use your discernment with any of this. It's all your choice. These are only suggestions. They're not, this is the way to live. The best way to live is going to be the way you feel to live, where your inner guidance is taking you. But if this resonated with you, resonated with that inner guidance, then I definitely recommend, and your inner guidance is recommending, that you go forth with that. But only do it if that actually resonates. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate you watching all the way to the end, for however long you watched if you're not seeing this message. But thank you nonetheless. Remember that you are loved. Remove that negativity from your life and start bringing more of the light into your life. Focus on that. Focus on the well-being. Focus on the things that you want. And I will see you in the next video.